sports, and politics. Get ready to rumble! You wanna talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
The other dude's holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Derek's gonna get him.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games, not Jerry's personal beef. So what's your thought? That's right. It's me for FSP. Doing what I do for you all day, every day. Look, I kind of like where I'm at, what I'm doing. I'm about to adjust some stuff, so give me a second. So it's 10 o'clock. We are live and in living color. So in my Cody Rhodes voice, what do you want to talk about? I know what I want to talk about. Today I want to talk about the NFL Week 8, the devastating loss of your 2 starting wide receivers and the triumphant return of 2 other wide receivers. Does the addition of Devontae Adams really help? Because I don't know. Playing Pittsburgh is not the best way to showcase that you're a better team. That's a tough matchup. And it didn't look really good. But I think and I predict the Jets are going to do way better with Devontae in that lineup now. Alan Lazard looking like he's not going to play. So that means those targets should shift over to Garrett Wilson. Sell Garrett Wilson now. Sell him. I'm going to sell him. I have him and I like him. But as the number 2 guy now, I don't know if he's going to get the touches that he should have. Like, he had a bad game versus Pittsburgh. A lot of receivers do. But you let one bounce off your chest or off the shoulder pad when you should have went up and got it with your hands. And then that turns into be a very, very big play that cost you and your team a W. So I'm not saying that's the reason why I'm selling him, but I'm selling him because I just don't think the value for him as a number 1 receiver on your team is there anymore. Just isn't. Another player I'm selling, but I also have him because I did a stack. And it's not his fault. I'm going to say this. It's not his fault. I'm a season ticket holder. I've seen what this guy does or is capable of doing, and I see what he doesn't do. But he doesn't do it because the quarterback, who I support, isn't getting him the ball. It's like when Kyler Murray is criticized about getting the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., he feeds him 10, 12 targets a game. When nobody says anything, Marvin gets like 5 targets a game. And I've seen this in person. I'm selling Marvin. Not because of his talent, but because Kyler doesn't appreciate, and yes, I love Kyler Murray, but he does not appreciate what Marvin does. I know he spreads the ball out, and his favorite target is McBride. Would be mine too. But when I have Marvin Harrison, Junior, I'm going his way a lot. Wilson is a good receiver. Dorsich is a good receiver, but not good enough to get the targets that they're getting versus Marvin. Until Kyler adjusts and feeds Marvin 10 to 12 every game, and McBride 7 to 10, and the rest around, I'm selling them, unfortunately. Also, we're going to talk about week 8, of course. News and notes about the week. The face mask that wasn't called. Now, look, I'm a decent guy. But if you're telling me in the end zone, you got the back ref, you got the side ref, the ref that's supposed to be looking at the quarterback at all times. Correct, Chris, correct. The quarterback has his own ref to make sure nothing happens to him illegally. And the face mask literally ripped his head all the way like this. I don't have the same range of motion anymore, so I can't do that. But literally results in a safety, which is a scoring play. And this is the thing everybody's saying, and I agree with them. If the NFL says every scoring play is under review, is a safety not a scoring play? So why is it excluded? Now, the penalty can't be called during the review. However, that is something that should be changed. I believe, and this might hurt some teams and might help some teams. If a penalty is found during a scoring play of a review, I feel as though since New York is already involved and it happened during the last part of the game, the 2 minutes where the coaches can't even challenge, it comes from New York. They should be able to call a foul that impacts the game on that level. And Chris, you see what I got on? Told you, brother. Mala for vets. Oh, I'm doing it upside down here. Mala for vets. I support my boy Chris. It is what it is. But as I was saying, those issues by the NFL need to be addressed. Pat Kerwin, and I love listening to Pat Kerwin and Jim. Oh my gosh, former quarterback of the Chicago Bears, not Jim McMahon. Jim, I forget. Anyway, moving the chains. I love that Sirius XM radio show. Only show that allows the listeners to hold a legit conversation with the host, especially when it's a slow day. Anyway, I got sidetracked. The analysis is, what are they looking at? If their job is to protect the quarterback and the NFL took over the last few minutes of the game, coaches can't challenge. Why isn't it plausible to have this happen? I totally agree with him. I'm not saying Minnesota came back down and won the game, but you have a personal foul face mask, which is automatic 15 yards. You have 1 minute and 30 something left on the clock. Anything can happen with Justin Jefferson, Addison, and Aaron Jones. Granted, I'm going to tell you this too. Minnesota will not win a lot of games from here on out because Darashaw, their best player, which is also the left tackle, is out for the season. Minnesota will revert back to what people outside of Minnesota was expecting. And you saw it on the last few plays or the last few drives of that game, the second half. That left tackle who was replacing him, granted he didn't have a full week of first team reps, he couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it. In fact, Aaron Jones only had 58 yards rushing against one of the worst run-stopping teams in the NFL. Aaron Jones had a lot of rushing yards on the left side where Berkshire was. Sam Darnold got pressured a lot more. A whole lot more. It is what it is. But Minnesota, like John Cena said, your time is up. My time is now. You can't see me. My time is now. That's Detroit. Chicago has an opportunity to make a jump. Green Bay's, in my opinion, is teeter-tottering. And let's get into the first game. No, since Chris is here, I'm going to discuss his situation. Christopher, my friend, my dear friend, and I know you can't talk, so you can't call in or join the live chat via video. Mike Evans, I believe torn hamstring. He's going to be out for quite some time, 4-5 weeks, maybe even more. Yes, here we go. Tough for Godwin, out for the season. That's really tough. Two of the best receivers in the NFL, the two starting receivers. And I was about to go here, Chris, but I'm glad you said it. For the rest of the year. Here's what I'm going to say. Sterling Shepard is a very, very capable receiver. He's just often injured. The two young receivers in Tampa Bay aren't ready for what's coming, the heart of their schedule. So I predict Budda Baker's going to throw to Cade Otton a lot. Pick up Cade Otton. I don't know why Cade Otton is on waivers, but Cade Otton's about to get 15 looks a game when they throw the ball. Shepard's probably going to get like 8. Expect a heavy dose of Bucky Irving and White. Todd Bowles loves to blitz. He will not be. If Todd Bowles decides to continue to be blitz heavy with his offense being as depleted as it is, I'm going to call for his job. And I love Todd Bowles because he's a former Washington Redskin from back in the day. But if he calls for heavy blitzing and his team gets beat on some of these blitzes a lot and his offense can't keep up, let me see what we're saying. Chris says thoughts on Kupp, and I do like that I see what I see with Bucky. Listen, I love Bucky Irving. I think Bucky Irving's going to take that starting job next year. Cooper Kupp could have gone to Tampa Bay. However, Cooper Kupp and the Rams did a number on the Minnesota Vikings that now the Rams aren't going to trade Cooper Kupp. I still would because you got Puka. But the guy that benefited the most in that game was Robinson, the third receiver, because people were double teaming Cooper and Puka. Robinson got 2 touchdowns. Pro baller, energy drink, good for diabetics, good for everybody else. Natural sugars. That Chris says the heavy blitz only works when we have a stud like Devin White in that backfield. Well, as your linebacker. Only problem is if you guys get behind Tampa, that is, and we're going to talk about that game because y'all facing Atlanta. Matter of fact, let's start with that game. It's going to be tough. I predict that in this game, I'm picking Atlanta, first of all. Atlanta, Tampa Bay. Atlanta's going to go after those cornerbacks in that weak secondary. They are. Why? Because as soon as they get up 14, 17 points, I don't think Tampa Bay can come back. Excuse me. Honestly, I don't think they can. Are you going to Cade Otton them all the way down the field? You can go to Sterling Shepard, very good receiver when he's healthy, but he hasn't been the guy in quite some time. And these other young kids, I don't think they're ready for what's about to happen to them. Atlanta's secondary is pretty good. They're not the best, but they're pretty damn good. Right? With that being said, I think Kirk Cousins throws the ball like 50 times. And they don't run the ball that much because Vita Vea is still there. And he can cause havoc on that offensive line. You're going to probably need Tyler Algier or Bijan Robinson to help out blocking up the middle more so than running the ball. I see them being able to beat Tampa Bay. They're only favored by they're dogs. Atlanta is the underdog by 2.5 points. I don't understand why. I believe that should have been minus 2.5 for Atlanta, knowing Minnesota has the problems they have. I mean, you tell me, is it going to be a bomb dropped on them? Or is it going to be, some clapping going on in Tampa? I don't think so. I think it's going to be more sadness. I really do. They are hurting. Cooper Kupp is not coming to Tampa. Even if he were, the problem is this. How are they going to pay him next year? Rams will probably take up the bill for this year, remaining of the year, but there's no money to keep him there. None. Mike Evans will come back before the end of the year, but what will the state of Tampa be? That goes to what I was saying about the Rams. They were terrible. Terrible without Koopa and Puka. They both come back with Kerryon Williams and Machine Gun Kelly Matthew Stafford. They look like world beaters and legit have a shot at winning the NFC West. Tampa, my friends, you're looking probably, like Chris said, 0-0 for the rest of the season, that those two aren't there. I just believe that's the case. And then, well, you know what? Let's go over the teams, and then we'll talk about who's missing what, okay? So first game, I said I have Atlanta over Tampa Bay by more than 2.5. Baltimore at Cleveland is the first game, or the second game we're going to talk about. Look, Cleveland is in sell mode. Sell. Hold on. Chris says this. Julian Edelman is not coming out of retirement. He's not. You can forget that, brother. I'm sorry. But Baltimore and Cleveland, look. And I'm going to address something that a couple of the Cleveland Brown players said about the fans. They cheered when Watson was carted off with what it looks like to me, a torn ACL. I believe they already confirmed it was a torn ACL or Achilles. To me, it looked like it popped when he stretched out and was trying to take off. Exactly what it looked like to me. Jameis Winston and Myles Garrett, chided the fans for doing so, especially at home. I'm not going to chide the fans, but I'm not going to say they were right. I'm going to say the fans accepted Watson knowing some of the things that were alleged and some of the things that were proven, but he found ways to get out of the situations. He had the largest fully guaranteed contract in NFL history, $230-something million, all guaranteed regardless of what happens to him. The team is hamstrung by that contract because they can't bring people in. They've already started sending people away. Amari Cooper, they're shopping Myles Garrett, they're shopping Smith, Zadarius Smith, they're shopping Newman. It was a failure. It was a failure by Cleveland to risk it all for Watson. They understood he was not going to be able to play for some games when his suspension kicked in. Got it. He gets hurt the next year. They don't do well. Gets hurt again last year. Flacco comes in, takes me to the playoffs, does decently. They don't re-sign Flacco because they don't want to start a controversy. Comes in this year, everybody's healthy, and is playing dismal. Then everybody starts to get hurt. There's no way, in my opinion, and I understand Baltimore and Cleveland are there. It's always going to be a hard game. I don't think it's going to be a hard game this year. Not this game. Not with those Cleveland Browns. I don't see those Cleveland Browns doing much of anything. I'm taking Baltimore, and I believe the spread's like 9.5. They're going to cover that spread. 9.5. That's 10 points. I know the defense isn't terrible, but Nick Chubb and Jerry Jeudy and Njoku is your offense with Jameis Winston as your quarterback. Jameis makes some good plays, but Jameis also throws the ball to the other team a lot. Nick Chubb you're probably going to have to be ground and pound Nick Chubb versus ground and pound Derrick Henry, which is a very entertaining proposition. But the difference is Baltimore can throw the ball and have people that will catch it. Cleveland, Jerry Jeudy, no. Tillman, no. Njoku, yes. That's it. Baltimore in a rout. I believe that to be the case. Tennessee at Detroit, another team that's throwing away the team. Tennessee Titans. They're already starting Mason Rudolph because of old boy's arm. But I think it's a little more than that. I think they're using that arm as a reason not to play him. Because if he was questionable all week and he took some snaps in practice, I'm not saying get shot up and then go play, but if that's your future, do it. But you don't trade away Hopkins. You don't trade away the linebacker you just traded for in the preseason. If you think your team is capable. You don't put your number 2 receiver your number 3 receiver on injured reserve has an injury. But all you got is Tony Pollard now. And Calvin Ridley, who's probably going to get double and triple team. The other young kid, Westbrook, something or another, he's going to have to step up. But I don't think he's going to. Not in this game. Not in this game. Detroit is going to mollywop Tennessee, especially in Detroit. Now, Detroit loses Jameson Williams because he violated the substance abuse rule. So we know it's not weed because weed is legal for NFL players. So it had to be a performance enhancing drug or something else. I don't know. They didn't disclose. But even still, Jamar Gibbs, David Montgomery, St. Brown, Laporta. Pick your poison. And Tennessee has a very good defense, but they just traded away their best, or second best, I should say, linebacker. Because Landry's the best one, and he's a pass rushing linebacker. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I got the Lions. Indianapolis at Houston. Look, I don't know what happened with Green Bay. I don't know why the Houston Texans decided not to throw to Tank Dell. Tank Dell had 3 or 4 targets the entire game. Makes no sense in a game that's close until it wasn't. Houston. You have a prime opportunity here to face a quarterback that's a linebacker and cannot throw a decent ball. He needs to work on that. He really does. His passing is atrocious. But can Houston get out front enough to force Richardson to throw the ball? Deep ball is pretty, but that's it. If Richardson has to throw in traffic or anticipation, it's not going to happen. It's going to be terrible. Houston should win this game hands down. And I get it that the Colts are 4-3 and the Texans are 5-2, and this is for the division lead, but the South is not competitive. Richardson and company won those games. Granted, he did win a game last week, but 3 of those games of the 4 they won were by Joe Flacco and company. I'm selling Michael Pittman as well. As long as Richardson is quarterback, I don't trust it. I got to go with Houston in this game. Not a blowout, but a big game. Another game that I think is going to be a very good one to start, but eventually a blowout. Green Bay at Jacksonville. Jacksonville looked, and I mean, in London last week when they won. But they beat a team they were supposed to beat. The Patriots. 1-5 versus 1-5, and you look better than the other 1-5, but the other 1-5 literally has nobody. And you struggled versus them. Not good. Jordan Love is spreading the ball around. Only person you can rely on for Jordan Love to get the ball to is Kraft, the tight end. Don't look for Romeo Doubs, Wicks, or Reed on a consistent basis to have a great game because it's not happening, folks. He's throwing the ball to everybody. I will admit, and I'm going to take a sip of my Pro Baller. That Jordan Love is better than I thought he was. Way better than I thought he was. Without Jordan Love, I know they won a game or two. They were close games. But without Jordan Love, Green Bay is not a threat. Not a threat. With Jordan Love, they are looking good. And I will admit what Jerry said when he was on the show about how, Love was going to blossom and develop this year as a top 10 quarterback. And I will say it, he's right. Right now, Jordan Love is top 10 quarterback. And I think as long as he stays healthy, he'll remain that way. I was wrong. I was wrong. In this game, I'm not going to be. Green Bay is going to wipe the floor with them. And Jacksonville will go to 2-6. And they'll start the rumblings. Depending on how bad Green Bay beats them, though. Put it that way. Depending on how bad Green Bay beats Jacksonville will determine if they're calling for Doug Peterson's job or not. Yet again. Chris, you're in Jacksonville area. Maybe you can shed some light on that, and I'll post the comment. But right now, I don't think old boy is going to be there by bye week, or because the bye week for Jacksonville, I believe, is in a couple weeks or so. I'm not sure. But if Green Bay whoops them like I think they are, I don't think Doug Peterson returns. I don't. I think he gets fired. Shad Khan does not like his money wasted. Ask his son about AEW. I like AEW, by the way, but they need to work on some things, just like the Jaguars. Next game, the return of Tua. Now, I got some comments and thoughts about this. Arizona's taking on the Miami Dolphins. And I mentioned, like, I'm selling Marvin Harrison in fantasy because my guy, who I like, does not feed him the ball the way he should. Don't know why, but Marvin Harrison Jr. seems to tune out during games when he's not getting the ball. What he does is he doesn't even come off the line hard. He does lackluster blocking because blocking's not coming his way. He doesn't even put his mouthpiece in when he's not getting the ball. That's an easy tell when you're looking at tape. If Marvin Harrison Jr. does not have his mouth guard in, it's either a run play or the play's not going his direction. Now, I don't know if that's by design, and Kyler is just throwing to where he's supposed to because the play is designed for this person. But I'm looking for excuse me. I shouldn't have. I need a bleep button. I'm looking for Marvin Harrison regardless of who the hell is out there. McBride as well. Let me go back to a step about the Jacksonville thing. Chris posted something. He says, I have not heard anything this past week. Bye week is week 12, but if he loses again, I'd say there's a chance for BB to ruin Mac Jones for the second time. Bill Belichick. If Bill Belichick comes in there, which could happen, Mac Jones ain't on that team. In fact, Mac Jones should have been traded already and Jacksonville gotten something for him because he could have been starting somewhere else. But it is what it is. If something happens to again, I bet you Mac Jones takes that quick trip to Miami at some point. But back to this Arizona-Miami game. Tua, look, my friend. I understand the need and want to play football and the competitiveness, knowing that you're really good at something, right? I know Tyreek's excited to have you back. Waddle's excited. Everybody in Miami is excited to have you back because this system, Mike McDaniel's system, has proven to be tailored toward Tua Tagovailoa. He created a system, offensive system, that works just for that quarterback. The other quarterbacks that have stepped in don't do well. Tua does. Tua doesn't want to wear the dome thing. It doesn't look pretty. It makes him look like Mega Mind with a huge head. I get it. I get it. But if you have two doctors saying to you, okay, you don't have to retire, and you say you're not going to retire, but you have had two catastrophic seizures on live TV. Wear that dome thing, guy. Excuse me. I know you said you're not going to, but you should. It's an added protection. Neither do I. Chris says this. He says, Tua playing is so scary. I agree. And I have zero issues with the new helmets. I don't have any issues with them either. They put that, okay, so your helmet has padding, and then they put a layer of extra padding on top of that, on top of the helmet. As soon as Tua goes down, gets sacked, or runs or whatever, because it's going to be natural, and he hits his head on the ground, what are we looking at? Are we looking at a, God help us, another death live on TV? Are we looking at a permanent brain injury live on TV? Because you know people are going to watch that game just to see what happens to Tua. Not because it's going to be an exciting game. They want to see what happens to Tua. And Arizona has some hitters. They have some hitters. Don't let Buddha get them. Buddha going to treat them like Sean Taylor treated everybody. I don't care who you are, you can get it. And I can see that happening. Now, with that being said, as long as Tua is in the game, expect Tyreek to go for 100. Expect the offense to look better. Expect Miami to win. Expect them to win. Now, if Tua wasn't in there, I'd be like, oh, well, sorry for you. Sorry for you. But I'm going to go with Miami. All right, let's go to the next game. The Jets at New England. Look, this will be the first time in a very long time that the Jets will sweep New England. Look, Drake made Jacoby Brissett. It doesn't matter. The offensive line is garbage. It is garbage. And I'm going to tell you, Gerard Mayo, good guy, but what they need to do now is build an offensive line through the draft and or find one outstanding free agent left tackle or draft the best left tackle they can. Right now, and I said this at the beginning of the year, I projected the New England Patriots would go 1-16. No, I said 2-15. 2-15. They're not getting to win this week. The Jets are going to prove a point. The Jets are going to prove a point versus New England. They're going to whoop that ass. This is going to be like a double-digit loss for the Patriots. But they don't really have anybody. Jetss. They do not suck, Chris. But, I mean, they played Pittsburgh. And that was a tough loss. Pittsburgh is no joke, especially when Russell is cooking like he was. Get out of here. Get out of here. All right. Jets beat the Patriots. I know that hurt Chris's feelings. We already did Atlanta and Tampa. So sorry to hear that, Chris, but that team sucks, and they will, as long as they don't have the two wide receivers. It's the way I feel. Philly at Cincinnati. Okay. Look, Philly lost both their wide receivers early on in the year. You see the trend in this? Wide receivers getting crumbled this year. And they didn't look good at all. At all. They found a way to beat the Saints by throwing Dallas Goedert all the time, but Dallas Goedert is out. So Cincinnati is starting to cook, right? Their backfield is still in limbo a little bit. Chris Brown is the starting running back. His twin brother is a safety for the Philadelphia Eagles. You probably heard a little bit about this. But Cincinnati isn't better than Philly, in my opinion. And Philly is a 3-point underdog in this game. I'm betting on Philly to win this game outright. With Smith, Brown, Barkley, and Hurts all together again, you're missing Dallas. That's okay, because the replacement is going to be used more in a blocking sense, block and release type situation. Not going to be a main focus of the offense. I think that's too much for Cincinnati's defense to cover. And I understand Cincinnati's defense is pretty good, but we'll see. We will see. I don't know if that's going to be an issue or not. But I got Philly laying the paws or the claws on Cincinnati. Chris says, taking back a little bit, Drake May has better numbers than Pat Mahomes. Patriots by a late field goal. Chris, he does have better numbers than Pat Mahomes, but Pat Mahomes just got DeAndre Hopkins. We're going to talk about that in a second. So that one, no. Pass just updated. 9 players are questionable for the game. 9. But you still think the Jets suck. I love you, Chris. I really wish Chris could be my co-host. I really do. Both of our radio personalities and abilities to talk would be awesome for you guys. Trust me. Way better than, it would be more harmonious when we disagree. But we're both passionate. I really wish you could. But we're not getting to that. Let's go to the next game, which, again, to me, there are a lot of no-brainer games. So if you're a gambler, I see a 16 teaser easily. Now, Minnesota and the Rams, that surprised me because I wasn't ready for that. But whatever. New Orleans at the Chargers. Spencer Rattler's back at quarterback. Chris Olave is back. But Alvin Kamara has struggled mightily since Derek Carr is not back there. Teams are not afraid of Spencer Rattler. They're not. And with Chris Olave out the past couple games, they weren't worried about him either. Chris Olave has not been a threat all season, regardless of quarterback. The Chargers have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Numbers prove it. Last week, they lost to Arizona. I get it. There's a Herbert hater group. He threw for 358, but no touchdowns. People were saying the Chargers got good receivers. Look, Ladd McConkey is only short-handed receiver, and he was dropping balls. Quentin Johnson is a player that was supposed to do well, had problems with separation, had one good game, but that's it. They traded away Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. They left the cupboard bare with no real replacement. But they're winning by running the ball. J.K. Dobbins, he should do well versus this Saints defense. I just don't think the Saints have enough to tackle what's going on with the Chargers. I think the Chargers, and people have picked the Chargers to make the playoffs. I did not. I'll be honest. I did not pick them to make the playoffs. And you know why? Because I didn't think about the Jim Harbaugh effect. I just thought about the player talent they had. Jim Harbaugh is a winner. Plain and simple. You know what he's going to do, and you still can't stop it because he gets the same players that one coach had and turns them into the players that everybody thought they could be. Now, by emptying all those wide receivers, that kind of sucked. I didn't agree with that. But that defense turned up and turned out. They're gonna make Spencer Rattler throw a couple interceptions. I guarantee you 2 turnovers by the Saints offense. 2. Chargers all day. Next game, Buffalo and Seattle. Here's the thing. Josh Allen has a new toy. That toy is somewhat defective from time to time. Talking about Amari Cooper. He didn't look that good or that bad in his season debut for the Buffalo Bills. But you give him 1 week to work with Josh Allen a little bit more, and that says something. That says they're getting familiar. Curtis Samuel's already ruled out. Somebody else I forgot was already ruled out for Buffalo. So Shakir is relegated back to number 2. Amari Cooper's number 1. And Shakir's pretty good. But Amari Cooper's going to take a lot of that number 1 targets from Shakir, as he should. Cook is okay because he's still a little hurt, but he's in there, right? The thing is, I don't think Josh is going to be able to throw a lot of balls on the Seattle Seahawks because Seattle has adopted a pass-first mindset. Walker's still a demon at the running back position, but this passing offense from the Seattle Seahawks has Geno as, I believe, the highest. He has the most yards at the quarterback position right now, passing. DK Metcalf, one of the top 5 wide receivers, hurt or not. Lockett, decent. Jackson Smith and Jigba, coming on. Noah Fant is starting to get picked up in fantasy now because he's getting targeted. He wasn't before. I just think Seattle has way more offensive power versus that Buffalo defense than Buffalo has to score or keep up with them. Josh Allen is going to have to score on it using his legs. He's going to throw the ball, but Dawson Knox isn't a part of the offense. You got Dalton Kincaid, who is, but he's questionable. He should play, of course. Amari Cooper's good, but sometimes he gets the dropsies. Shakir, he's okay. I got Seattle winning this game, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a good game as well. To the game I want to see, well, I will see, but it's probably going to hurt me. I'm going to do it anyway. It looks as if Jaden Daniels is not going to play. And people have said, and I agree with them, this 1 versus 2 thing is a fan-based, media-based, television-based issue. The numbers show who's the better quarterback already. The records show who's the better quarterback already. Although Chicago has played 1 less game because they had a bye week. But Jaden Daniels does not look like he's going to play this week. Enter Marcus Mariota. Now, Marcus came in last week off the bench. Didn't do too bad, but didn't do too well. But that was against the Carolina Panthers. Understand that. Chicago Bears have a ferocious front four and a decent secondary. It's the linebackers that I'm like, what the hell? This is supposed to be some really good linebackers, but they're not. If we can get past, and I say we because I'm a Commanders fan, can get past that front four with our run game, it's going to be a problem for Chicago. Now, Mariota cannot turn the ball over. Mariota cannot miss passes he shouldn't miss. Mariota is going to run, but he's not a Jaden Daniels type of runner. He's not making people miss or running past them. Chicago, they decided they're going to give DeAndre Swift the ball. And run defense has been a problem for us. And we just lost Allen. So now we have the rookie from Illinois, Newman, I believe, in there mixed with another guy to go with Payne. I already don't like Fowler on one end and the other guy on the other, but we're going to see what happens because Caleb Williams can get loose. That's where Frankie Louvu comes in and Jeremy Chin comes in because one of them is going to knock the freaking fingernail polish off that guy. Mind you, this is a homecoming for Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams played at DeMatha, which is in D.C., and he's going to get his bell rung once or twice, I hope. Cliff Kingsbury, his offensive coordinator at USC, knows what he's good at and knows what he's not good at. Did he share that with the defense? I don't know. But I guarantee you, if Frankie Louvu is going to spy him and still be in space, somebody's getting knocked out. I bleep myself. Washington is going to destroy Chicago. And this goes out to Paris Daniel, to my boy Dave. I can put Dave's full name out there because he's probably out there selling some hair care products. But Dave's my boy. This goes out to James Pony Hemsley. All you Chicago Bear fans. Oh, and to the converted Chicago Bear fan, Adam, not going to put your name out there. We're going to kick y'all ass. Believe that. Believe it. The final boss says Washington 31, Chicago 20. That's right. We're going to win by 11. Already got something on the line for Paris Daniel. Paris, I need my fire stick back, bro. I'm about to cut it off since you ain't using it. Wasting my money here. But Chicago, what you want? Mariota or Jaden? You're getting mollywopped. I'm going to put this up here because I'm going to answer this. Chris, for some reason, he's decided he does not want to be a part of the show. He did not tell me he was going to be a part of the show. He just stopped talking to me. Now, I don't know why. I got an idea, but it's nothing personal that I did. He has decided to become excommunicado. So I'm not going to beg somebody to be on the show or beg for somebody to talk to me. If that's the way the individual wants to be, so be it. Yeah, oh snap. That's how I felt. I was reaching out to him, sending him invites, trying to communicate. and he just wouldn't reply. Nothing, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But all you Chicago Bear fans out there, understand, I'm a pro baller. Well, you can't see it now. And the Bears are going to lose this game. I love Montez Sweat. Wish we never traded him. That other guy, Young, I was a Young fan, but yeah, he was way worse than I thought and should be wherever he is. But I love Montez. F it. Adam Shaw, since you love hanging out with the Bears now, hanging out with Chicago Bulls and everything, and you left the Washington Commanders for your Bulls, I'm calling you out. Every Bears fan can get it. But Paris Daniel, had my money. Had my money, brother. Now, I'm going to feel bad if we lose and I got to pay Paris. I respect you, brother. I respect you. I had my money. Anyway, let's go on to the next game. I know I just caused a whole bunch of havoc with what I just did. A whole bunch of havoc. I appreciate that, Chris. And the next game where I was going to talk about where the receivers are gone, but they're bringing back their quarterback because Andy Dalton sprained his thumb. And it's not good. It's not good at all. Look, Denver's not supposed to be doing what they're doing, but they're going to do it, and they're going to whoop the crap out of Carolina. Carolina's defense is garbage. Adam Thielen's out. Deontay Washington's out, who should be getting traded. He's not hurt. They just decided to deactivate him, and they're trying to trade him. Come on to the Commanders. I'll take you. You, Terry, Luke, Noah Brown, Deomi Brown, I'll take you. I will take you. But both those receivers are out. Leggett is in, but so is Bryce Young. Denver is an 11.5-point favorite in this game. And Denver isn't even that good. Cortland Sutton didn't get one target in their last game. Not one. And they still won versus New Orleans. Denver is creeping on the come up. Denver's creeping on the come up. And they're going to beat up on Carolina. I mean, I don't know what it is. Carolina just is not for lovers. I think they say Virginia's for lovers, but Carolina isn't either. Kansas City versus the Raiders. Look, you just gave Pat Mahomes one of the best receivers of all time. Think about that. I know there was an issue with free agency for Hopkins a couple years ago, where it was either money or championship, right? This is why the Chiefs went and got Hollywood Brown instead of DeAndre Hopkins. To me, Hopkins made the biggest mistake. He chased the money in Tennessee with a young quarterback as opposed to taking less money and rolling with Pat. Now he gets traded to Pat. Pat needs him. And I will say this, Gundo. All right. I'm going to put this in a group chat that I'm in. Gundo, I was mistaken. Xavier Worthy is not the baller I thought he was going to be. I know we're 8 games into the season, but so far he is not. I was wrong. I was going off of what I saw initially and what I heard Jerry profess about this guy, because Jerry did more homework on him than I did, but he's not that guy. He's not. So Jerry was wrong. I was wrong. He is not the guy that's going to carry this team. They're doing it with smoke and mirrors. Pat Mahomes is statistically having the worst year of his career. More interceptions than touchdowns. But Gundo, if you're watching, I'll take you up on that bet. Hopkins will have 5 touchdowns within the next 10 games, 11 games. The Chiefs are going to whoop up on freaking the Raiders. The Raiders have already traded away Devontae Adams. Jacoby Myers is hurt. They're going back to Gardner Minshew because O'Connell is hurt. They don't have a definitive running back. The offensive line is, iffy at best. Their best linebacker is Spillane, and he can't do everything. The Raiders are in disarray, and Antonio Pierce better not get cut because of it as the head coach, because he's doing what he can with the cards he was dealt. Tom Brady comes in and is now part owner and can't make negative comments about the NFL in any way, shape, or form. He can't even do his job as a commentator because he's not allowed in various places for other teams. The Raiders are Raidering. And if my boy Q was here, I'm not sure why, he's not here either, but it is what it is. At least he replied to some of my texts. But House, you're out there. What's wrong with the Raiders? Are they just Raidering? Because I had big hopes for them. I did. Max Crosby should not be there anymore. They're wasting his time and his talent. I got the Chiefs. Next game, interesting game here. Dallas at the 49ers. Here's the other team that lost its 2 wide receivers. Deebo Samuels has pneumonia or had pneumonia-like symptoms. He was hospitalized. He's out of the hospital. He's questionable to play. Brandon Ayuk, who I just traded the week before, or the same week he got hurt, sorry about that, Hoss, is out for the season. Roquan Smith, I believe, is one that broke his ankle or rolled up on his ankle. Somebody rolled up on his ankle and put him out. He's gone for the season. So Ricky Parasol, the guy they drafted last in the first round this year, got shot earlier before the season began in his chest, is now the leading receiver. Jawan Jennings is out. Mason has a sprained muscle in his shoulder, but he's playing. 49ers are banged up. Literally, who's the number 2 receiver with the 49ers? I don't know. Now flip it over. There really isn't a number 2 receiver with Dallas. Tolbert and I forgot the other kid name. It's Tolbert and another guy with a T, if I'm not mistaken. But if it isn't CeeDee Lamb, it's Ferguson. If it's not Ferguson or CeeDee Lamb, it's nobody. And that defense is terrible. Micah Parsons and Lawrence are out. They have no pass rush. This used to be a marquee game, Dallas and San Francisco. Not today or not tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to watch that game. If I do, it's because, let me see what the 4 o'clock games are. Let me go back and see what the 4 o'clock games are. Oh, it's the 8 o'clock game. You know what I'll be doing at 5:20 my time, 8 o'clock Eastern? I'm probably going to be watching a show with my wife. Matter of fact, I'm going to watch The Penguin, which is a very good show on Max. I'm going to be watching The Penguin because that game does not interest me at all. It really, all I would look for is CeeDee Lamb, and I traded away Ferguson and Dak. Because Brock Purdy, who we throwing to? George Kittle all game? Parasol is going to get 20 targets? Chris says, does it seem that even with all of the safety precautions this year, there are more serious injuries this year? Chris, I'm going to say this. All the serious injuries are happening to the wide receivers. They take out the hip drop tackle, and I believe Roquan Smith got fined $17,500 because his tackle caused a season-ending injury. But it's happening to the receivers, who also happen to be the ones getting more money now. My observation, I said this early on in the season when they outlawed the drop hip tackle, whatever it's called. I said the big running back will make a comeback in the NFL. Because if you can't, drop your hips and pull down the tackler, that's the only way you get down Derrick Henry, unless you got a big thumper to take him one-on-one, which there aren't that many of. They can't take down Najee Harris either, who's having a very good year. Had an excellent game versus the Jets with Russell in there. The big back is going to make a comeback. And there was an article, or somebody made a comment that this year, the play of the running backs will get them paid next year. And it's going to usher in the bigger back time again. All these smaller backs, I love Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler can run with power, he can run with speed, and he can run with finesse. But he's not a big power back. But Henry, Robinson, Najee, what's my man up in Green Bay right now? Forgot his name. Even Aaron Jones. He's not a big back, but he's a big back that doesn't need a full back or anything like that. But he's tearing it up. Those guys are making a case for why they need to be paid. And the receivers and their injuries are saying, well, I just gave this guy $30 million a year. He didn't play that well. I'm talking about Brandon Ayuk. He didn't play that well in the 6 games he was in. And then we lose him for the rest of the season, but he's still getting $30 million a year. Injuries are happening, Chris. They're happening everywhere. But I see them more in the wide receiver position. And it's bringing back the Jim Harbaugh style of play. I'm going to bang my running backs up and down the field. What do you think? And this is another observation. San Fran runs through running backs like we run through underwear. Think about it. Think about it. If the same system is used and running backs have success in it, but they get used up, it's just a factory. Insert a decent running back, turn them into an exceptional running back. Insert an exceptional running back, they become all world. Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry. And again, in one of the groups I'm in, a couple of them actually, the thought was Christian McCaffrey had these Achilles issues in both his legs prior to him renegotiating his contract. He didn't complain about him until after he got his contract signed. And then guess what? Christian McCaffrey's paid already. He's on the roster, but he didn't play one game. But he's due to come back week 10 after the bye week in San Francisco. He's going to play 7 games and try to get his team into the playoffs. But he's all world and he can make things happen. Tough. Every 3 weeks, whether I want to or not. What does Chris say? I'm not sure what Chris was saying that about. But in this game, only because I think San Fran has a better system. And I want to talk about this too before I move off of this. I don't think Jerry Jones is wrong. If you guys didn't hear, I'm picking San Fran, by the way. If you guys didn't hear, Jerry Jones says another reason why he didn't go after Derrick Henry, because he wouldn't be a good fit in their system. He's not lying. He's telling the guys down his truth. Jerry Jones is 1,000% right. So for all you Cowboy fans out there that's saying, we should have got Derrick Henry, wouldn't have these running back problems. No. You should have fired your head coach who does not run the ball. That's what should have happened. If you want to tell Jerry Jones he's dumb and he's wrong for not getting Derrick Henry, you're telling him he's dumb for the wrong reason. Tell him he's dumb because he didn't fire the head coach that doesn't put an emphasis on running the ball. If you get Derrick Henry, you change your system. I'm about to do my Herm Edwards. You play to win the game. We're not here just to be there. We want to win. You play to win the game. And you draft players and you sign free agent players to win the game. Oh, by the way, you signed Dak Prescott to $60 million, but you can't do jack. You know what that's equivalent to? The New York Giants letting Saquon Barkley go, and we all saw it on Hard Knocks off season. The general manager says, why am I going to pay this guy $12 million when I got a guy that's making $30 million to throw the ball? Am I going to pay him $30 million to hand it off? Hell yeah, you are. Why? Because you got the better player. You let Dak ride out that 1 year of his contract. You sign Micah Parsons, and you bring in Derrick Henry. But again, you're Cowboys. You're Cowboy fans. You're all delusional. You all have mental issues. And it stems from your owner. I get it. I am not knocking the handicapped, but you guys are handicapped. We were so handicapped for 20 years with Daniel Snyder. He's gone. Josh Harris is our owner, along with Magic Johnson, along with Kevin Durant, and all them other guys. But y'all have mental issues. If y'all believe that Jerry Jones was wrong in what he said this past week, ask Mike McCarthy what he would have done with Derrick Henry. That's the problem. Of course, Jerry Jones not firing, my guy is part of the problem too. But Jerry Jones wasn't wrong. Not at all. Not at freaking all. And I don't like the Cowboys, but I like and appreciate what Jerry Jones does. He's a very smart businessman. He just made one very bad business decision by retaining Mike McCarthy. That's what that is. All right, last game. I know I went off on a tangent. I got really emotional on that. But somebody got to smack some reality in you Cowboy fans because y'all are stupid. Yeah, I said it. Cowboy fans are stupid, delusional, and irrational. Very much so. This ain't the 90s. Not at all. Maybe you should go with Chris Malafavette. Let's do some Zen. I'm not trying to make fun of you, Chris, or your business, or anybody that's Buddha or anything like that. But Cowboy fans, y'all need to do something. Y'all need to meditate. Y'all need to meditate. Woof. All right. The Giants versus Pittsburgh. Look, man. If Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Wilson, and Breece Hall couldn't do much versus that defense, what the hell do you think Daniel Jones is going to do to those defenses? To that defense? Nothing. Malik Neighbors. I understand why Malik made the comment before the draft. He didn't want to go to the Giants. But he went to the Giants. And, yeah, thank you, Chris. Then Cowboy fans need to do what Chris is saying. Chris said, but that's all they got, bro. Now, Singletary is splitting time with the young kid, which I saw happening Not a bad thing. But Singletary has seen this happen before. Don't expect Singletary to take over that job full time. It's going to be a split decision type thing, hot hand type thing. And if Jones, I'm going to say this, Jones will not look good versus Pittsburgh's defense. Not at all. But if Jones looks horrible, this is the last time you're going to see Jones as that quarterback. You will see Drew Lock finish this game if Jones looks terrible, and Drew Lock finish the season. Mr. Mara came out this week and also said he has to be more patient with his coach and his GM because he wasn't as patient in the past. I agree with that. Joe Schoen isn't stupid. Brian Daboll definitely isn't stupid. But Joe Schoen made a business decision for that organization to keep a guy at quarterback that is not even good when he has a good offensive line. Joe Schoen did say, you need an offensive line. He said that during the Hard Knocks thing. So Joe Schoen should have drafted more offensive linemen. I believe he had a chance to get the best offensive lineman before he selected Malik Neighbors. He declined to get that best offensive lineman. I believe the Giants had a pick before the Chargers did. I think. And if they did, you let Saquon walk out the door for the quarterback. I know you have Cross. Cross is injured, and you move Cross from left tackle to right tackle, which I thought was a big mistake. You should have got Stingley to be your daggone left tackle. Mistake number one. Then you let Saquon go. Mistake number two. Then you let your free safety go, who's the best safety right now in football, playing for Green Bay. Mistake number three. But Mr. Mayer says he needs to be more patient with his head coach and his GM. Daboll can only make the soup with the ingredients he's given. Now, does Daboll have some influence on what's shopped for? Yes. But does he have the final say on what's bought? No. That's just like me going to the store with my wife. My wife will not let me get cinnamon buns with the icing, the thick icing on it. She knows I love them. But because of my condition, I'm really not supposed to have those. But I really want them, and I love them. Daboll wants to get certain plays. General manager for New York says, you know what? You've already got something sweet at the house. You don't need nothing else. You're going to get these Brussels sprouts. You're going to get these greens. You're going to get this, that, and the third. And you're going to be happy. And we're going to make something good that I like. Quoting NWA, mother, say what? But that's what the Giants are. Russell Wilson is making Pickens a tier 1 receiver. How many times was Pickens targeted versus the Jets versus Sauce, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL? And how many yards, and he had a touchdown, did Pickens have on one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL? This is why Justin Fields was benched after having a 4-2 record. I believe they were 4-2. So what is their record now? Yeah, 4-2, because now they're 5-2. He wasn't feeding the ball to nobody. Austin got 2 touchdowns. The number 3 receiver, who's a rookie, but got speed and decent hands. Russell wasn't running around like Justin. Got it. Russell was Cerebral Russell. We can say Sierra Russell because this is Sierra Automatics, whatever. This is why you need to have a neck up quarterback, Shadur Sanders, versus a neck down quarterback, Cam Ward, as your leader. Russell has the talent. Russell can run. He doesn't run as much, but Russell makes better decisions with the ball, and he feeds the players that need to be fed. It's just not his athletic talent. I was throwing shade at anybody. This includes, because I'm going to call them out, Mario Jones, Jerlon Pace, a.k.a. Gerald, and anybody else that thinks Cam Ward is better than Shadur Sanders. I'm going to tell you guys right now, Cam Ward, and I've said this in the chat, is Jamarcus Russell. He might be Justin Fields, but he's Jamarcus Russell. Big body, great arm, poor decision-making. And when I say poor decision-making, I'm saying he doesn't throw with anticipation, he doesn't throw people open, and he takes too long to get the ball out. You can do that in college. You can't do that in the pros. You cannot do that in the pros. Cam Ward has great numbers. He's been to 3 different colleges with very simplistic offenses. Shadur Sanders, 2 colleges, 3 offensive coordinators, consistent numbers with all of them. You can blame his flash, whatever. Must Be the Money Part 2. They really have a Must Be the Money Part 2 coming out. And he has a song out or whatever. You can say all that flash and dash, whatever you want to say about Shadur, but he's better than Cam Ward. Hands down. I dare anybody come on here and debate me with it. Mario Jones, Jerlon, a.k.a. Gerald Pace. Oh, hey, was it Michael Coleman? Your New York Giants suck, and so do you. All of y'all. But it's just my opinion. It's just one man's opinion. But Russell versus Justin, there's the difference in why Pittsburgh is where they're going to go versus where Pittsburgh was going. Their defense can win games for them, and they were. But going forward, you need your offense to produce. Russell's going to make mistakes. Every quarterback does. But he's going to win more games, especially with that defense and talent, versus what Justin Fields will. They're going to beat the Giants. The Giants suck. Mr. Coleman, just like you suck. The Giants suck. Pittsburgh has a choice at the end of the season. Both players are pretty much on 1-year deals. I think they re-sign Russ, draft a quarterback, and let that quarterback learn behind Russ. They let Justin Fields walk. Who's going to pay for Justin Fields? He's proven he can be a good quarterback, but just a good quarterback. I can see him going back to Cleveland, but DRT, once he's healthy, is going to beat him out. But that's this week's games. A little bit of my commentary as well. Chris, I thank you for coming on and giving your opinions. I see there's some people that are watching. Thank you for the love who like the show. Chris and my boy James Pooney Hemsley, I called you out for your terrible, and I mean terrible Chicago Bears. That's Paris Daniel. We know what we got going on. I respect you, young. Well, he's older than me. I respect you, old guy. But I got to talk some trash about your Bears because I got to defend my Commanders, win or lose. Adam Shaw, traitor. Enjoy your Chicago living and your Bears, but they're going to lose. And everybody else that's watching. I don't know who else is watching. I got several people watching right now. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in with me this week. I will not be here for the next couple weeks. I will be out of the country. So you will see me again, I believe. Let me make sure I got this date right. Next time you guys will see me, I might have a show airing. It just won't be live. 16. Yeah, the 16th. The next live show will be on the 16th of November. And I thank you all for tuning in. Matter of fact, I will have replays of some of the shows that were done in the summer about our prognostications. So therefore, if you miss some of the, thank you, Chris, I appreciate it. If you missed some of the prognostications, we'll show it. Matter of fact, on this timeline, just say you want me to show the prognostications for like the NFC North, AFC North, whatever. And whichever one has the most popularity are the two that I will air for those two back-to-back weeks. Okay? Those that are going to trick or treat, be careful. This is the only time in the world where people allow you to have candy from strangers or anything like that. But be safe. One love. And I'm out. I'm going to do this right. I promise you guys. I'm going to do this right.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Get ready to rumble! You want to talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
Remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Oh!
Jerry's going to get him.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games, not Jerry's personal beef. So what's your thought?